All right, so picture this. You're about to jump into a lake, right? Maybe the water's kind of murky, you can't see the bottom, and you can't help but think, what's down there? It's like this primal instinct, this fear of the unknown.
Right.
And today, we're taking that fear of the deep, and we're diving right into it.
It's a really common fear, actually. Even experienced divers can get those deep water jitters sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll want to make sure that everyone listening knows that it's totally normal to feel that way, but also that it shouldn't hold you back from experiencing, the full magic of the underwater world.
Exactly. And that's what this deep dive is all about, giving you the tools and understanding to overcome that fear and have some incredible experiences.
Think of it as like your mental toolkit for a more confident, enjoyable diving experience.
I love that. A toolkit. And like any good toolkit, we need to start by understanding the problem. Why do we get those deep water jitters in the first place, even when we know, logically, we're probably safe?
It's true. You'd think our brains would catch on.
Well, think about it. For thousands of years, right, humans have looked at the ocean at those vast, dark depths with a healthy dose of caution. I mean, it's instinct to avoid the unknown, the potentially dangerous.
It's like that feeling when you're in a dark room and you think something might be there in the corner of your eye.
Yes. And that instinct, it's not just in our heads, it's like hardwired into our DNA.
So you're saying when you're out there, miles offshore, and that blue abyss opens up beneath you, you're not just battling your own anxieties, but the collective, danger instincts of your ancestors.
Exactly. It's like this primal echo. And then on top of that, you've got our natural aversion to feeling out of control, right?
Because on land, if something happens, we can just, stop walking.
Yeah. We have solid ground under our feet. In deep water, we're at the mercy of currents, buoyancy, all that.
Suddenly, you're not so steady on your feet.
Exactly. It's a recipe for anxiety.
It makes a lot of sense when you put it that way. And let's not forget, some people have actually had, a genuinely scary experience in the water.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe a close call with marine life or just a situation that really shook them up. Those memories, they can stick with you.
They really do. Our brains are wired for survival, so it's totally natural for those negative experiences to leave a lasting impression.
Like a warning system.
Exactly. Your brain is basically saying, remember that time you panicked in deep water? Let's not do that again.
Better safe than sorry, right?
Exactly. It's trying to protect you, even if it ends up holding you back a bit. But, and this is the good news, we can actually rewire that thinking, build some positive associations.
Okay, that is good news. But before we get to the rewiring, can you maybe give us an example of someone overcoming this fear? You've worked with a lot of divers.
Yeah.
Any stories come to mind?
One that really stands out is a diver, Sarah. Certified, loved the ocean, but she wouldn't go below 30 feet. No way, no how. Claustrophobia, fear of the unknown, the whole 9 yards. And it turned out it all stemmed from a childhood incident, something that happened in a pool when she was young.
Really? It's amazing how something from so long ago can have such a big impact.
It's true. And it had morphed into this deep-seated fear of not being able to reach the surface.
I would bet a lot of people can relate to carrying those childhood fears, even if they seem, a little irrational later on.
Absolutely. So how did you help Sarah overcome it?
Well, like we were saying, understanding the root of her fear was key. And we started with baby steps, practicing basic skills in the shallow end of a pool, just focusing on building her comfort and confidence in a controlled environment.
So no throwing her in the deep end right away.
Metaphorically or literally, we wanted to build that foundation of feeling safe, in control.
Makes sense.
And then from there, we incorporated these visualization techniques. So instead of letting her mind race with all those what-if scenarios, we replaced them with vivid, positive images of her diving comfortably, at increasing depths.
Wait, so you're saying if I just sit here and imagine myself rocking a deep dive, totally crushing it, my brain will actually start to believe it?
It's kind of like that. Your brain doesn't always know the difference between what's real and what you vividly imagine.
Wow, that's wild.
It's the power of the mind. And by repeatedly practicing these mental dives, you're essentially training your body and your mind to react calmly and confidently when you are actually underwater.
That's incredible. Okay, so we've laid the groundwork, understanding our fear, planting those positive mental images. But how do we take those mental skills from the living room couch to an actual dive? That feels like a big leap.
It is a big leap, and that's where the real magic happens. We'll unpack those practical strategies. But what about when you're actually underwater and that wave of anxiety hits? What can you do, right then and there, to stay calm
It's all about having that mental toolbox, those techniques you can pull out when you need them.
Yeah.
And one of my favorites is, honestly, ridiculously simple, but it's crazy effective. Controlled breathing.
Okay, yeah, I've heard about this, like specific breathing exercises for anxiety and stuff, but does that really work in the middle of a dive?
It totally does. Think about it. When you panic, what happens? Your breathing gets all shallow and rapid, right?
Yeah.
We can actually kind of short-circuit that panic response just by consciously slowing down our breath and regulating it.
So we're basically like tricking our bodies into chilling out.
Exactly.
What's the technique?
One that I teach a lot is called the 4-7-8 technique. So you breathe in deeply through your nose for a count of 4, you hold that breath for a count of 7, and then you exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 8.
4, 7, 8.
It sounds almost too easy, but I swear, try it a couple of times. It's like this instant reset button for your nervous system.
I'm actually feeling calmer already just thinking about it. Okay, so we're breathing deep, we're picturing ourselves rocking this dive. Anything else to like keep our minds from spiraling? Because sometimes just being surrounded by all that blue, it can be a little, I don't know,
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
unsettling.
It's easy to feel untethered when you can't see the bottom.
Right. Yeah.
That's where having a visual anchor can be really helpful.
Okay, like what? I'm picturing myself just drifting out into the open ocean.
Definitely not what we want. A good reference point could be a reef wall, your dive line,
Yeah.
even just staying close to your dive buddy, just something that reminds you of where you are.
Right, so you're not just floating in a void.
Exactly. Having that visual reminder kind of helps ground you, prevents disorientation,
Yeah.
keeps your mind from, wandering into those what if I drift away scenarios.
Right, the buddy system. It's like having a built-in support system down there.
Exactly. Speaking of which, a supportive buddy is essential for nervous divers. Choose someone experienced, someone who's calm under pressure, and most importantly, someone you trust completely.
Right, like don't be shy about sharing those anxieties beforehand.
Exactly. Talk to them about it. Let them know what you're worried about so they can offer reassurance and maybe even adjust the dive plan if needed.
So it's about working as a team down there. I like it. But, even with all the preparation in the world, sometimes those what-ifs just creep in.
Oh, tell me about it. My brain loves a good what-if spiral, especially when I'm trying to relax.
How do you shut those thoughts down when they pop up during a dive?
It's like you're battling this negative roommate in your head,
At
right?
the worst.
But instead of arguing with it, try using positive affirmations.
Affirmations.
Yeah, short, powerful statements that directly challenge those negative thoughts.
Give me an example.
So instead of thinking, what if I panic? Try saying to yourself, I am calm. I am in control. I've got this.
It's like giving my inner critic a pep talk, but underwater.
Exactly. And just like any skill, it takes practice. Write down your affirmations, say them out loud, even visualize yourself saying them during those mental rehearsals we talked about. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to access them in the moment.
So it's about creating this mental toolbox of positive self-talk.
Yes, you got it.
I'm all about that. But what about when those tools aren't enough? Is there a point where, seeking professional guidance is the way to go? So we've got all these tools, right? Like, we're breathing like Zen masters. We're swapping out those negative thoughts for positive ones. But is there ever a point where you just need a little extra help? When does facing those deep water fears mean, calling in the pros?
It's like anything else, Sometimes you can DIY it, and sometimes you need a coach. And actually, there are some really amazing courses out there specifically designed to help divers manage anxiety.
Wait, seriously, I had no idea. What would you even learn in a course like that? It's not like they can, simulate the ocean depths in a classroom.
Yeah, be surprised. These courses, they're often a mix of classroom learning and in-water practice. So they'll go deeper into the psychology of fear, teach you some more advanced relaxation techniques that are really tailored for diving, and then they'll actually have you face those fears head on in a controlled environment with really experienced instructors.
So it's like taking all this mental game stuff to the next level, but with scuba gear.
Exactly.
I like it. And what about those dive therapists you mentioned earlier? What's their superpower?
Dive therapists are like the mental health superheroes of the underwater world.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
They specialize in diving-related anxieties, and they use techniques like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, to help you really pinpoint and then change those negative thought patterns that are fueling the fear.
Right, CBT. That's where you learn to swap out those I'm gonna mess this up thoughts for I got this one.
Exactly. It's all about rewiring those thought patterns, and it can be incredibly effective. And the great thing is, seeking professional help It's not admitting defeat or anything. It actually shows that you're serious about conquering this fear and, really diving into those amazing experiences that await.
Right, like you're investing in yourself and your passion. Okay, you've convinced me. Sign me up for Scuba Therapy 101.
I'll come with you.
Deal. But seriously, for the people listening who are, pushing past that fear, what are the rewards? Paint us a picture of that underwater bliss. What are we working towards here?
All right, so picture this. You're descending slowly, sunlight filtering down through the water, right? And you can feel this calmness just washing over you with every, deep, steady breath you take. Down here, it's like this symphony of blues and greens, coral reefs just bursting with life. Fish dart in and out of these ancient coral formations, and this giant sea turtle just glides by, totally unfazed by you being there. It's just this whole other world of wonder that, it just takes your breath away in the best way possible.
See, now I'm getting a little jealous of all the people who get to experience that. It's that sense of peace you're describing, that feeling of being completely immersed in another world. That's what makes it all worth it.
Exactly. It's about pushing past that comfort zone, discovering a strength and resilience you didn't even know you had.
I would love that.
And trust me, the underwater world, it is chock full of those pinch-me moments that make all the effort worth it.
This entire deep dive has been a serious light bulb moment for me. Who knew we could go from deep water dread to, picturing ourselves chilling with sea turtles?
Right, the power of facing our fears. And remember, it's a journey, not a race.
Yeah.
Every little step you take, whether it's practicing that 4-7-8 breathing or finally booking that first dive lesson, it's a victory. Celebrate those wins.
Yes. Love that. So for anyone listening who's feeling inspired to finally take the plunge, remember what we've talked about today. Understanding your fear, that's step one. Then you build your mental and physical toolkit, and never, ever be afraid to ask for help along the way.
Beautifully said. Now go out there and explore. The underwater world is waiting for you.
This has been awesome. Thanks for diving into this with me. And to everyone listening, until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and never stop diving deeper into the depths of your own potential.